Hello all, welcome to A Cinema Theory. Today's topic is on Super Deluxe. Before I begin with the complete understanding of Super Deluxe, let me give you a clear heads up that this is going to be completely spoiler-filled discussion about Thiagarajan Kumararaja's Super Deluxe. The moment TK put his card on the screen after the film, I was awestruck and flabbergasted. For what I have experienced was out of the world. I just took it all in as it catches you billions of miles off your fucking guard in the last 20 minutes of the film. He pulls the rug from under you and you just have to sink in what's happening around. As the audio was completely in Tamil and I being a Telugu speaking guy and the subtitles were very hard to follow then. Due to the fast pace, I kind of missed few details here and there. Now that it's on Netflix, I sat down again, pausing and playing, taking down notes in between, with an intent to break down all the hidden meanings and references TK was hurling at us right from the start. This one is going to be long, you have been cautioned. So let's start from the beginning, shall we? First up, I need you to understand that the story happens in the span of 2 days. Day 1 is when Shilpa, that is Vijay, arrives at his house, takes Rasukutti to his school, gets humiliated at the police station, loses his son, curses Berlin, that is the police guy, to die, meets Arpitam, that is Mysskin, in a subway, and finally by the next morning of the day 2, he goes back home to his son. Day 2 is when X, that is Kannamma, the red guy, come to the Sam's. The boys decide to skip school and the rest you know. Try and observe this. Right from the first frame until the last, each and every frame is majorly filled with shades of these colors: red, blue, green and brown. It's either a combination of 2 or 3 colors or all at the same time. These colors are representation of earth, the mother nature around you. They represent man and woman, they represent the sand and sky. You can find these colors everywhere, just in some combination or in their original form. This theme is more explored at the end of the film, so stay with me here. The movie kick starts with the conversation of Vembu, that is Sam, and the Kannamma, that is the X. Sam is the one who makes the call to X. So understand that it was a primal urge that made her call him. The proof for this understandable from the way she invites him over and also the tone of her voice. X says that he has borrowed a lot of money from gangsters and cannot pay back to them anymore, and that's been troubling him for some time. The shot opens to Sam struggling X with a very high-pitched sound of scarcity in the background. That is from a radio, probably, blending in with the mood of that scene. They are having sex, but X is constantly thinking about that money and the gangsters, and then dies. Observe the train sound in the background. So, technically the movie opens with a sex scene. Here, watch how that undergarment is hanged on the hanger in the form of an 8. This is completely silly and funny and might feel not at all necessary. But believe me, it is referenced again later in the film. The boys done their 3D glasses and ready for the fest. As I have already mentioned about the red and or blue tint colors in the film, here it means the film that we are watching in real life is parallel to what the boys are about to watch in real life. And we, the audience, watching the film are metaphorically represented as these boys. It's meta cinematic. We get introduced to Arputtam and Ramasamy. Listen carefully to what Ramasamy says to the devotees. He tells that Not until 6 months ago he couldn't even talk, and now it's Arputam that prayed to the sea god and gifted him his voice. Remember this. When Mughal utters the F word by mistake, the kid picks it up and keep on reciting it like a poem. Look at the way the old man reacts to it, feeling very uncomfortable. He even calls it an act of sin. Such a typically reply, just saying. You see that train engine in the background. Remember where you heard it before? Yes, it's the same train whose sound we hear when X dies on Vimbu's bed. So TK has established that all these acts are happening parallelly. Observe the clock on the wall. It reads 6:50 am. Very early in the day. Yet another proof attributing to the fact that Mughal is on his way back to home from acting class, while Vembu was having some fun with X. This scene is very important. See that TV showing an alien kind of pointing towards the screen, and opposite to it is Gajji, starting at something else. This is the very first time we see any alien reference, and is also foreshadowing for what will happen with Gajji, and that alien we see at the very end. Idi Amin only cautions them not to get too close to the liquid and asks them to drop 4 drops into someone guy's trees. He never really says how this so-called poison works. That's TK's advantage. We'll get back to it later. While the bed and body flies down the building, the BGM scored here is a clever Indian Mridangam Sannai styled rendition of the classic Star Wars theme. Why Star Wars only? We'll answer this in a bit. In this scene, we overhear a TV host and some other person discussing about aliens. It's the very first direct reference to aliens. The person also raises a doubt. As you can read in the caption below, also see how TK cleverly plot blocks and teases us to wait and watch to get the answer to the question of the person on TV. This very same time TV show could be the one we briefly see earlier in the TV repair shop those boys visit. Ramasamy talking about his legs now, pointing out at the uncertainty in his belief that Arputam is really a chosen one and their god actually exists. This is the first direct reference of Star Wars and the second reference overall. There must be some serious connection between this film and Star Wars, mustn't it? We will find out. This frame is pretty much the whole film summed up. If you have watched the film already, you can find the whole story in this very frame. There's a direct reference to Ridley Scott's Alien film posters all over the wall, amongst many other Hindi and regional Tamil films. There's this poster of a woman in bareback, kind of giving vibes of some porn flick. Remember this, we will need it later. Do not forget to observe the surroundings. Here it is clear how this shopkeeper believes that donating money to transgenders and receiving their blessings is a very good thing. It's just a belief. Someone believe it, someone don't. We will know why this scene is crucial. So you thought this plane has something to do with the ending of the film? No, it has nothing to do with any in the film. It's just a distraction that TK added to confuse us, and also a poly for the camera to rotate over its head so that the actors can cross path because it's a single shot. And also the bareback lady is a back in the poster again. See that phrase, magical event, written on the wall. It's important, make a note. The same land which Shilpa and Raskutti crossed a few minutes ago. You can see more clearly those posters and that industry chimney behind. These lines from Gajji and Mughal, respectively, are actually true philosophies that TK touches upon. At the end of the film, also observe how X in the background is placed exactly in the middle of this couple. And also, there is a key hanging right in front of him. It's a foreshadowing of how this guy's death will eventually bring this couple closer, the key to their relationship. The constable wears a blue mufti to go to Raskutti's house for enquiry. Remember this. Does the dialogue ring any bells? For those who don't, it's written by Christopher Nolan, and you can hear it multiple times in Interstellar. Yet, another space bulk begins. Related movie reference from TK. Interesting? Where he is going with this? The underwear story comes a full circle here. As already pointed out in the point 3, TK here is just trying to point out, no matter how different you think you are from the rest of the world, things you do always resemble the same. He explains that with something as trivial as an undergarment, like there are patterns to everything in this world. This theme resonates again later in the film. On a side note, this 3 minutes 30 seconds long single take is the best scene in the whole film. The way Ramya Krishnan Garu portrays a plethora of emotions all through, it's fantastic. The wise words the woman speaks is yet another theme that TK dwells upon in this film. It's layered writing. See that guy with the beard? That is our ex, the one who dies in the first scene. Also observe that there is a teacup beside him, which indicates that he might have been poisoned by the gangsters, for he did not pay up the money which he borrowed from them. Remember that Amin did not say how exactly the poison works in point 10, so this is how TK utilizes that fact. Amin might have been the one who might have poisoned the ex as he did not pay up, which set forward the events that follow Vimbu and Mughal. Searching for Raskutti, Shilpa gets into the TV repair shop just beside the one in which X was sitting. It's a physical metaphor stating that Shilpa, the thread, is intertwining the stories of X and the boys' TV shop with his story, and that they ultimately lead to one end. Remember, I told about that magical event phrase in point 18. Well, it's back, and see what TK has done in the very next second. You see that TK just used VFX to write real life about that and is telling us that this particular episode will be the reason why this whole story runs. A life-changing magical event. Life-changing for pretty much everyone on the board in this story. Just think about it. Had this magical disappearance of Raskuti doesn't happen, Shilpa would not have lost her cool, would not have gone to the police and crushed Berlin to die, wouldn't even have met Arpitam in subway and planted the seed that it was just a rock in his head. It's a truly genuine movie from TK. Signing off, team. A Cinema Theory.